Welcome to Knoxville Raceway Inside Line with your host Eric Arnold, presented by Lucas Oil, FVP, Casey's General Store, Speed Sport, Arnold Motor Supply, RacingJunk.com, and Pella Motors.
Welcome to the show, race fans. You're listening to the Knoxville Raceway Inside Line here on KBOE, your station for racing. We're talking sprint car racing each Thursday night here from the sprint car capital of the world, Knoxville Raceway. And this past Saturday night at the Knoxville Raceway, Mother Nature cooperated with us and we got a full show in this Saturday night. 92 sprint cars entered a season-high car count for a weekly show. The World of Outlaws event at Lakeside Speedway down in Kansas City was rained out early Saturday morning, and that allowed several of the World of Outlaw teams there to make the 3-hour drive north on Interstate 35 up to Knoxville to tune up for this coming week's MediaCom shootout. The World of Outlaws will be in action this Saturday night at the Knoxville Raceway. Coming up this past week was Shane Stewart, Kerry Madsen, Paul McMahon, Jason Sides, Craig Kinzer, David Gravel, Logan Schuchart, and Jacob Allens. 8 of the World of Outlaws out of the 13 that are on the full-time tour were all there on hand to race with us to get ready for this coming week's show and to tune up for the Knoxville Nationals. So for $15, it's quite a bargain for race fans to be able to see that many race cars on a Saturday night. We had 42 cars signed in for the 410 division. The top 8 in qualifying were Danny Lasowski, who set quick time for the second time this season. That was followed by Shane Stewart, who was quick time last week before the rain fell. Terry McCarl, Brian Brown, Kerry Madsen, David Gravel, Brooke Tatnall, and Jason Sides was your top 8. Justin Henderson timed 15th, and the BDS Motorsports team, they pulled that engine, put in a new one in time for the heat race. And then Logan Schuchart and Jacob Allen, they came out and just ran time trials and called it a night to get ready for this next week's shows with the World of Outlaws. The heat winners on this night were Matt Morrow, Dustin Selvage, Craig Kinzer, and Brian Brown. 7 of the top 8 in time trials advanced through their heat race to the A-Main, and the A-Main was quite a race. It went nonstop 20 laps. Danny Lasowski drew the pole in the redraw and led the entire race. He ended up winning over second place by a full 8 seconds over Kerry Madsen, but the race from about 2nd through 7th was just awesome. David Gravel started out running second early, and then he was passed by Ian Madsen, and then Ian's brother Kerry came in there and passed them both to take second place, and then before you know it, Shane Stewart was dicing it up with those guys, and then Terry McCarl, Brian Brown, all raced their way up into that kind of lead group of from 2nd, 4th, 5th, 6th. McCarl would end up taking 3rd at the end of the race, making it kind of a full podium of past Knoxville Raceway track champions with Lasowski and Madsen and McCarl. David Gravel was able to end up finishing 4th on the night. He had a good run. Ian Madsen was 5th, Paul McMahon 6th, Brian Brown 7th, Jason Sides 8th, Davey Heskin 9th, and Craig Kinzer, the 2005 Knoxville Nationals champion, rounded out the top 10. So after 4 full shows looking at the 410 point standings, Danny Lasowski is out to a big lead already. 203 points over second place Justin Henderson. In 3rd is Terry McCarl. 4th, Ian Madsen. 5th, Davey Heskin. Then followed by Dusty Zomer, Brooke Tatnall, Brian Brown, Tim Kading, and Bronson Mason rounds out the top 10 there in your 410 class point standings. Moving on to the 360 class this past week, Justin Henderson went out and set quick time for the 3rd time this season. Clint Garner was 2nd, followed by Jamie Ball, Billy Alley, and Russ Hall. Heat winners were Justin Henderson, Nate Van Haften, and Jack Dover. In the A-Main, Justin Henderson took off with the lead and led most of the way. Late in the race, he got into lap traffic, and Billy Alley was able to catch Henderson, run him down, and then pass him as they were coming to the white flag. So Alley would lead the white flag and then come around and lead the checkers to get his 12th career 360 feature win at the Knoxville Raceway. This was Alley's first visit to Knoxville this season. He normally is driving locally there in Nebraska, where he's from, around the Lincoln area, and he's had a lot of success at Knoxville Raceway in the past. Kind of scaled back his racing schedule the past several years, and it was great to have Billy back at Knoxville and visiting Victory Lane. The rest of the A-Main finish, Alley was your winner, Justin Henderson 2nd, Nate Van Haften 3rd, Clint Garner 4th, Tony Schilling rounded out your top 5. Looking at the 360 point standings right now, Clint Garner is your point leader, followed by Nate Van Haften, Tony Schilling, Joe Beaver 4th, Matt Morrow 5th, Russ Hall 6th, John Egan is 7th. In the 360 class, we had 23 cars signed in this past week. Setting quick time was McKenna Hassey with the 2nd time this season with a lap of 17.568. Heat winners were Tanner Edwards, Cade Higday, and Mitchell Alexander. In the feature, McKenna would draw the pole and led the entire distance of this race. Survived 5 restarts. There were 3 yellows and 2 reds. McKenna did another great job. Her biggest scare came on the last restart. She kind of missed the bottom going into turn 1, allowing Stacy Alexander to close in around the top side of the racetrack racetrack, but McKenna was able to get her tires back underneath her there in turn 2 and pulled away down the backstretch and went on to get her second win. So McKenna Hassey, 18 years old, first female to win at the Knoxville Raceway. Now she's got a second win, so she kind of broke through, got one. There's probably going to be a lot more to come. She had a long line of people waiting for autographs and buying t-shirts at her trailer afterwards, so she's doing a great job there, being a good ambassador for the sport. Very popular driver for us right now at the Knoxville Raceway. Devin Klein was running second place, pulled in about halfway there in that feature. The race was shortened a little bit due to time, with so many cautions and reds. Rounding out the top 5 was Stacey Alexander second, Christian Bowman third, Cade Higday fourth, and Matthew Stelzer fifth. Looking at the 305 point standings right now, Stacey Alexander is your point leader. McKenna Hassey now second, 73 points back. Devin Klein third, Kevin Hetrick fourth, and Mike Mayberry rounds out the top 5 in 305 points. The 305s will be off this coming week as we welcome the World of Outlaws to the Knoxville Raceway for the first and only time this season in a standalone event on Saturday night. The World of Outlaws will be back for the Knoxville Nationals in August, but this is their one show that we have during the middle of the season. Looking at the point standings for the World of Outlaws right now, Donnie Schatz is your point leader. He has a 145 point lead over second place Shane Stewart. Kerry Madsen is third, Brad Sweet fourth, Joey Saldana fifth, Paul McMahon, Darren Pittman, Jason Sides, David Gravel, Craig Kinzer round out the top 10 there in the point standings for the World of Outlaws. All of those cars should be in attendance, as well as Sammy Swindell, who is filling in for Jason Johnson, who has been hurt for the past couple of months. So good to have Sammy Swindell back this coming Saturday night at the Knoxville Raceway. Sounds like he will have a ride, part-time ride, coming up the rest of the season after this stint when Jason Johnson gets back in the car. He will be a teammate to Paul McMahon. The car owners for Paul McMahon will be putting together a second car for Sammy to run some of the bigger shows coming up later in the year, including the Knoxville Nationals. So this Saturday night, the Knoxville regulars will take on the World of Outlaws. It should be quite a battle. Danny Lasowski, Terry McCarl, Brian Brown, those three guys should be contenders. Never know who else might get in there. We've had some good runs by some of our local contingent over the last couple of years. Will be good to see a good show between Danny Lasowski and Donnie Schatz to see which one of those two guys kind of comes out of this race and becomes the favorite going into August for the Nationals. I think it's going to come down to those two guys the way it looks right now this season. So World of Outlaws this Saturday night. General admission tickets are $30. Hot laps at $6.45. So come on out, see the World of Outlaws, the greatest show on dirt, this Saturday at the Knoxville Raceway. And for a preview of the World of Outlaws coming this Saturday night, we're going to interview second place driver in the point standings right now, Shane Stewart, coming up in the next segment. So stay tuned. You're listening to the Knoxville Raceway Inside Line on KBOE. Thanks for listening to the Knoxville Podcast. This segment brought to you by FVP. Visit FVPparts.com and learn about their great automotive products such as batteries, oil filters, motor oils, and more. Visit FVParts.com. Welcome back to the Knoxville Raceway Inside Line. Joining us on the phone tonight is Shane Stewart, 2004 Sprint Bandits champion and 11-time Gumout Series feature winner.
That's two series I have not heard in a long time, but thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, that Gumout Series was quite a good deal back in the day. You had you and Delansky and Pittman Sides. That was quite a really good series. You look back in history nowadays.
Oh, yeah. I tell you what, the first year the Gumout Series existed, we had Bradford, we had Jason Myers, we had Paul McMahon in the U2 car, we had Jeff Shepard, Delansky. Dude, it was tough, and what made it even tougher is that that series kind of existed to make the TV car count go up. When they combined the two series with the World of Outlaws, when we had TV shows. Back then, we had several TV shows, so it was that was probably one of the toughest years that I've ever had, like traveling up and down the road and trying to follow one particular series. So, definitely tough.
Yeah, but you did pretty good. I think you won 11 features in the Gumout Series over the 3 years it existed.
Yeah, we did. Junior Holbrook always had really fast cars. The 8H was, I actually drove for him and then went and worked for Andy Hillenberg for half a season and got back in his car. When I got back into it, we were really strong. We won several Gumout races that year, and anytime we'd go run with the World of Outlaws, we'd run pretty well too. And it was actually my first A main, Knoxville Nationals A main that I made was with Holbrook. So that was good times for sure. But since then it's been a roller coaster, to be where I am today, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you look back, 3 or 4 years ago, you're hopping from one ride to the next with Paul Silva and with Joe Gertie, and you're very fortunate to be in the situation you're in this season.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's several people, drivers that would kill to be in my position. But I felt like, I still feel that I've worked hard to get here. So, and I feel like I continue to work hard to try to get quicker. And it's not that the actual chassis and stuff like that change too much, but the shock technology has changed a lot. And they keep changing our tires, and when they change the tires, it creates a whole new thought process of how to get these tires to the ground. And it's a continuous thinking of trying to go faster. And of course, we're still all chasing shops, but that team and Donnie makes you wake up in the middle of the night thinking, what, I probably should have tried this or that. And so that part of it I like. It's a sport that requires a lot of thinking, and it's a sport that requires a lot of work. I mean, my poor guys, they work endless hours to keep the number 2 car maintained. And this week we kind of struggled a little bit. We've been struggling actually a little bit for the last month or so. And then after Knoxville, we decided to come back to Indy and put together a new car. So that's what those guys have been doing all week.
Yeah, last year you guys went on the road and you were able to kind of use it as a tune-up season for this year, and then they start changing the rules through the middle of the in the off season. Did that throw any monkey wrenches at you guys with shock packages or anything like that coming into 2015?
Maybe a little bit. The biggest change that we had was chassis. We started the year with GF1 cars and we ended the year with cool cars, and the way they react was totally different. So I think that was the biggest learning curve between last year and then this year. Of course, we had some good notes at the end of last year with our cool car that we could go back on, but we're only talking 10 races out of our 80 race schedule. So a lot of the tracks that we're going to now, we can compare notes with other racetracks, but we don't actually have notes at that those particular tracks. So that part of it's been a learning curve. And Steve Stussy was our crew chief, and he went separate ways, and so now we got Scotty in the crew chief role, and so that part of it's been a little bit of a learning transition as well. I think we've done pretty good. I mean, we've had some bad nights, but all in all, we've been pretty consistent, and that part of it, I'm been really really happy and blessed to be in the position I'm in for sure.
How's your car felt the last couple of weeks at Knoxville? I know the one week you were only able to run time trials, but you had a pretty good run going this past Saturday night. Compared to last year's, does your car feel as strong as it has been? The first time we got to Knoxville this year, it was really hard to tell. I mean, the track was pretty narrow, and the groove that was the quickest groove around there wasn't very technical. Honestly, we just kind of found out if our motors ran or not, which it did, so we were happy about that. Now, when we came back, for some reason, and I actually tried to talk to a couple of, drivers that race locally. The last couple of years, even during the A main during the Knoxville Nationals, the cushion gets really thick and it gets built up. But the hard part about it is that it's very slick to that curve. So it's a fine line of how you drive it, how you set your car up, because, you think in your head, okay, we got to tighten this car up to maybe, go through the middle of the racetrack or maybe try to run the bottom, and then you get too tight to run that cushion. And that cushion is not easy to race against. And that's one thing that I kind of fought last Saturday night was that we really weren't that great. Right before I broke, Terry had got by me, and Brian Brown had just slid me to, and normally, we got a good enough car there where we don't lose positions. And so, honestly, I was kind of just hanging on there and ended up chipping the cushion and packing a wheel with mud. It was pretty severe, so I just pulled in and, didn't want to break anything. But I think we learned a lot. We got some pretty good notes, so hopefully,
when we go back there this Saturday, we'll be a little bit quicker.
How would you grade your team's season so far? I mean, you've got 3 wins and you're second in points. Does that exceed your expectations you had going into this year?
Yeah, absolutely. Justin and I actually sat down before the season, and he asked me what my expectations were, but it's kind of hard to put expectations of, okay, I'm going to go win 10 A-mains and I'm going to set this many quick times. And it's hard to do that. I think, one thing that Justin kind of pointed out to me is like, let's just look at each individual night as that. They're individual nights, they're individual races. So, you go into a particular race, if you struggle, you try to learn from your mistakes, and so hopefully when you go back to those tracks, you're either as good or you're better. And, but honestly, going through the personnel change that we did, it didn't really slow us down that much, which says a lot about, the amount of work that everybody did during the winter. So, I mean, honestly, if I was to grade my guys, I would give them an A. We're definitely not an A+, but we're an A or a good solid B. So, this far into the season to be second in points, we're pretty consistent. So I'm pretty happy. I mean, we're learning. I know, and the best thing about it is everybody on this team knows that we need to get a little bit better to try to compete with the 15, and that part of it's satisfying for me because they want to win as bad as I do, so that's good.
How do you guys catch up with the 15? I mean, everybody on the tour is chasing this one guy. I mean, do you guys just end up pulling your hair out some nights? I mean, what else can you do to beat him?
Well, the biggest thing that I've had to kind of go through here is that, in years past, I'll race with him and then go away for 2 to, a month and then come back and race with him. So I never, of course you watch the videos and you read how many races he would win throughout the season. But to actually witness it and to see it on a daily basis, man, it's crazy. It really does mess with your head a little bit, to be honest. But the thing is Donnie and Ricky's been together for a long time. They got a great package underneath them. And, Ricky is a smart guy. He's constantly thinking about how to make his race car quicker, and Donnie's a hell of a driver. So with the combination, they're just lethal. They have been for several years. Even when they didn't win the championship, they still ran second, and they were right there knocking on the door. And of course, all the Knoxville Nationals crowns and all. The crazy thing is Donnie, when he goes and races Australia, he doesn't even take his crew that he works with here. So that goes to show how good of a driver he really is. And it's good to watch. It's kind of aggravating to race with him day in and day out. But like I said earlier, it makes you want to work harder. It makes you want to. Because, they're a technical team. Donnie's a technical driver. He always races where nobody else races. A good example of this is Kokomo the other night. We're beating down the curve and ended up getting a flat tire. And there's probably some trash or something up in the cushion. But Donnie wasn't even near the cushion. Ran the middle of the racetrack the whole race and put himself in position to win the race. But Joey ended up getting back around him. But he does that on a daily basis. And, that's one of the reasons why he doesn't have any DNFs. He doesn't ever put himself in a bad position on the racetrack to get a DNF. And that part of it is pretty crazy to realize how he does that and how good of a driver he really is. But, hopefully we can, keep working on our program and get a little stronger as the summer goes on and give him a run for his money.
How's fatherhood treating you these days?
Fatherhood is good. It's a learning process, as you know. And, I'm kind of late in the game. All my buddies have all had 2 or 3 kids by now. And, of course, I'll talk about this and that. And they're like, yeah, man, that's old news. Like, our kids are like, starting to drive. So, but fatherhood is good. Jen's an excellent mom. The crazy thing about what we do is we're traveling and we're gone a lot. I'm kind of fortunate to have a motorhome where Jen and Nixon can come with me a little bit. But, the hardest part is being gone, for a couple of weeks at a time, and Jen being at home by herself. And, a little baby's hard work. And that's been the toughest part. But, now she's 5 months old now, and she's starting to smile, and she's realizing that she's smiling. And when you enter the room, she smiles at you. So that part of it's been really good. But she's a great baby. She's always been a really good sleeper, so we've been pretty spoiled.
Yeah, parenthood's awesome. It doesn't get much better than that, especially when they're at the age that your little girl is right now. So enjoy it while you can.
Yeah, no kidding. She'll be driving out the driveway before I know it, I'm sure.
Well, Shane, thanks for coming on the show. Appreciate it, and good luck to you on Saturday night.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you.
That's Shane Stewart, driver of the number 2 Larson Marks Racing GoPro sprint car on the World of Outlaw Tour. He should be a tough guy to beat. He's got a streak of 14 Knoxville National A mains going right now, which is only second to Donnie Schatz, who has 17 in a row. So Shane had a lot of success at the Knoxville Raceway, a 5-time 360 Nationals champion, and he's been knocking on the door of the 410 Nationals with a couple of podiums in recent years. So hopefully we'll see Shane be able to beat that 15 car this coming season, or this coming year at the Nationals. We'll be right back after these messages. You're listening to the Knoxville Raceway Inside Line on KBOE. Thanks for listening to the Knoxville Podcast. This segment is brought to you by Arnold Motor Supply. Visit an Arnold Motor Supply store near you for the highest quality auto parts and tools for all makes and models on the road. Visit arnoldmotorsupply.com. Welcome back to the Knoxville Raceway Inside Line. We'll wrap up tonight's show with our weekly announcements. This Saturday night, June 13th, the World of Outlaws Mediacom Shootout at the Knoxville Raceway. General admission tickets, $30. That is one of the lowest ticket prices you will find all season on the World of Outlaws schedule. After the World of Outlaws this weekend, we will have the FVP NSL Series events coming up June 27th. We have a free kids night coming up July 11th during the Marion County Fair, which that kicks off July 10th with a concert with country music star Tyler Farr. Sunday, July 12th, we will have the English Creek Dirt Carts. July 16th, the IMCA Modified Harris Clash. August 6th to the 8th is the Arnold Motor Supply 360 Nationals, presented by Great Southern Bank. On Sunday night, August 9th, the 4th Annual Capitani Classic for 410 sprint cars. Always quite a few cars for that event. Last year we had a little over 60 cars, but we've had over 80 in some years for that event. Monday, August 10th is the 20th Annual Front Row Challenge, $20,000 to win for the 20th anniversary. It is a NSL sanctioned event, so Terry McCarl putting up $20,000 to win the Front Row Challenge. There is no Front Row Challenge anymore. It's just straight up $20,000 to win this event this year. Coming up August 12th to the 15th is the 55th Annual FVP Knoxville Nationals presented by Casey's General Store. Then coming later in September, we will have Monster Jam and the Late Model Nationals. You can listen to the Checkered Flag program on Tuesday nights from 7 to 8 p.m. on KBOE with Jeff Kropp. Don't forget to watch Dirt Dreams and set your DVRs. New episodes of Dirt Dreams are now airing on Thursdays at 11:30 a.m. and 2:30 p.m. on MAV TV. Follow the Knoxville Raceway on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, Vine, and don't forget to download the mobile app. The National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum, open 7 days a week, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. on race days. Always feel free to stop over to Knoxville a little bit early before the races. Take a tour. Lots of great history there to witness and celebrate. The Knoxville Raceway would like to thank their partners, Lucas Oil, FVP, Casey's, Arnold Motor Supply, RacingJunk.com, Speed Sport, Pella Motors, and Great Southern Bank. Thank you to our guest, Shane Stewart, for joining us tonight, and thank you for listening to the Knoxville Raceway Inside Line. We will see you Saturday night at the Knoxville Raceway Hot Laps at 6:45. Good night. Thank you for listening to the Knoxville Podcast. The Knoxville Podcast is made possible by our partners, Lucas Oil, FVP, Casey's General Store, Speed Sport, Arnold Motor Supply, RacingJunk.com, and Pella